I am Johnny Massacre and welcome to my world. Tonight, you are going to learn how and why Donald Trump's FBI has raided the Fulton County election office in Georgia and confiscated every single digital and physical ballot that was cast in the 2020 election. Give me a hell yeah! So Trump's FBI has officially raided Fulton County election office with a criminal warrant. He's confiscated all the 2020 election ballots and votes where Joe Biden surged to a surprising victory in 2020 after the counting was stopped in the dead of night in every single swing state that Biden was down in. And Biden only won by 11,779 votes. Fulton County recently just admitted to certifying 315,000 early votes without poll worker signatures. Now, the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was there. She was seen at the raid. And by the end of this video, you're going to learn how and why Trump has confiscated these ballots. And I'm also going to show you a montage of Democrats screeching, crying, complaining, and claiming that you're just not allowed to question elections. Just trust them, bro. So to start off with, Donald Trump, the Trumpster, posted this out on Truth Social. Come and take a look at this. My friends, the Trumpster, Donald Trump, said this. He reposted David Kate, who said FBI agents have finished executing their horn at the Fulton County Elections Office and have now officially departed with roughly 700 2020 election ballot boxes. Yes, FBI agents are, as I speak and as you listen, Massacre mates, loading 2020 election ballots into trucks right now at the Fulton County election office. They must have something major and significant to get a judge to actually sign off on this. Yes, Donald Trump has attained not just a warrant, but a criminal warrant in order to do this. Can you believe that? So a search warrant, in order to get such a thing, means that a criminal investigation is underway. A federal judge signed off on this, finding probably that there is evidence of a crime committed at that location. And Tulsi Gabbard being there also means that this raid is a matter of national security. That's literally what it means. Absolutely unbelievable news. And this is top of Fox News right now. That's how big of a story this is. Let's see what Fox had to say about it, shall we?
FBI agents are going through materials found today during a search of the Fulton County, Georgia election office. That search is said to be related to the 2020 election. Correspondent David Spunt has details tonight. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening. FBI agents are still on site at the records warehouse for the Fulton County, Georgia Board of Elections. The matter is sealed before a court, meaning details are limited, but we can report this is related to the 2020 presidential election. Sources tell Fox News that agents retrieved documents, phones, and computers after a judge signed a warrant. President Trump has long made Georgia, and specifically Fulton County, a target of his complaints relating to the 2020 election. Shortly after that election, Trump spoke to Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, and said he needed 11,780 votes to win the state. At the time, Raffensperger said he felt pressure from Trump and denied any widespread election fraud. He continues to deny it to this day. Now, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis brought state criminal charges against then former President Trump and others in 2023 for conspiracy to overturn the election. But her prosecution, Brett, was eventually derailed completely after it was revealed she had an intimate relationship with the top prosecutor on her team, and it could have tainted the case. Late last year, a judge dismissed the case in its entirety. Now, Brett, last month, the Justice Department sued Fulton County, Georgia, seeking access to 2020 voting records after state officials allegedly failed to respond to a subpoena. Fox News has learned the head of the FBI's Atlanta field office was recently forced out in recent days, but it's unclear, Brett, if this is all related.
So the significance of this raid should not be lost on you. It is absolutely gigantic and huge, bruv. I'm going to tell you why this is so cataclysmic. So buckle up, because things are about to get very, very bumpy indeed. Yes, a federal judge authorized the FBI to seize 2020 election records from Fulton County. This is a criminal search. It's not a subpoena. So two things stand out. One is the scope. This is a comprehensive evidentiary sweep, not a narrow inquiry. And the timing of this is interesting because it's 6 years after the election, which is, of course, highly unusual, absent of new evidence or unresolved record retention issues. This is an incredibly serious federal investigation, and one that now clearly sits in the Department of Justice territory, not just state politics. We're going to have to see where this one lands. And you do not raid an election office unless the cover-up has collapsed and unless there's something very, very significant there indeed. You don't just seize these kind of devices unless someone has already told you what is on them. So this news broke last night, and the news is now exploding. Yes, the search warrant is a criminal seizure under the Federal Election Records Act. Physical records and digital records have been taken. Every single 2020 ballot of every type. I'm talking absentee ballots, mail-in ballots, provisional ballots. Every single ballot has been seized. Every tabulator tape, including 0 opening and closing tapes, has been taken, has been seized. Every ballot image from the counts and recounts has been seized. The voter lists showing who actually voted have been seized, and all electronic data and storage media has been seized. Batshit crazy. So take a look at this. This image shows like a kind of a crop screenshot of what's known as attachment B, and that's from a federal search warrant, the one in question, issued on January the 28th, 2026 by a US magistrate judge. And this is the warrant that authorized the FBI to search the Fulton County Elections Hub and Operations Center and seize the listed items as part of a criminal investigation into potential violations of a federal election law under 52 USC sections 20,701. So this requires preservation of federal election records for 22 months, and 20,511, which prohibits fraudulent election activities such as voter intimidation or submitting false ballots. So this is the official search warrant. You can see it right here, the one that the FBI is using to raid Fulton County. And yes, it's all 2020 ballots and voter rolls. You can see it right there for yourself. It says that they can take all the physical ballots, all the tabulated tapes, all the ballot images, all the voter rolls. Absolutely incredible stuff. I never actually thought I'd see this happen. And this is so huge because the Trump administration knows the reaction to this is going to be cataclysmic. So there's obviously something there. Something is happening. There's a lot of smoke. And it looks like we're going to find out where the fire is coming from. Cuzzy wuzzy wuzzy. So Fox News had a video of the FBI taking the ballot boxes away. You can see that here.
Going inside of the election facility.
You see them going inside there.
A photographer was able to go inside. He was let inside and allowed to be up and close. As you can see, this is interesting because one of the questions we did ask Larry was if agents were restricting his access or asking him to back up at all. And he said,
you can actually see it there. You can see the boxes of ballots in the background.
Crews should not.
This is a mental video. So Tulsi Gabbard was there. So this is also very, very significant. Her involvement in this raid suggests, if there was any doubt, that this story is about to get really fucking crazy. It's a matter of national security, this raid. So you can see Tulsi Gabbard here, dressed in black, spotted at the Fulton County, Georgia election site that was just raided by the FBI. So there she is. So Tulsi Gabbard, if you want to hear what she believes about the Biden administration and the elections and stuff like that, here is what she believes. And this is the woman that was on site overseeing this as a matter of national security. So I'm gonna kind of read what she's saying here. So she said let's go back to the top of this video. So she says, when you look at what happened when President Biden had that infamous debate with President Trump, it exposed the reality that many of us have known for a long time, which is that President Biden has not been the guy who's calling the shots. He's not been the guy making decisions, nor has it been Kamala Harris for that matter, nor will it be if she's elected president. It is this cabal of, you know, the Democrat elite, the woke warmongers that made up the likes of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan, you know, people who are in the military. So this woman believes that Joe Biden wasn't running the country. If that is the case, and I personally believe that as well, there is a conspiracy out there by a cabal of elites, like she mentioned, the Hillary Clintons, people like that, the Barack Obamas, who wanted to take control of the country by force. It's a topic for another day, but we've gone through in depth the Steele dossier and the fake information crafted by Democrats, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. The woman who believes all of that is the one who has overseen the raid of the Fulton County election office and who has confiscated the ballots. She's obviously trying to prove that Joe Biden was an illegitimate president. That is the woman who was seen at the site where all the ballots were confiscated. And speaking of Obama, Trump just implicated Obama in the election fraud. Here is a post on Truth Social where Donald Trump reposted the SCIF that says, Maria Zack testified about the stolen 2020 election operation connected to Obama when he diverted $400 million from the infamous pallets of cash sent to Iran, funneling through the Dubai embassy to operatives in Italy and Merrill Lynch in Geneva, Switzerland. In return, Italian officials at Leonardo Spa used military satellites to help hack US voting machines, flipping votes from Trump to Biden using CIA-developed tools like Hammer and Scorecard. This is what Trump is coming out and saying in the wake of confiscating these ballots, along with numerous other methods of fraud and manipulation. China reportedly coordinated the whole operation, providing the tech backbone and bribes to corrupt Americans. The CIA oversaw it, the FBI covered it all up, all to install Biden as a puppet. This is a global election fraud cartel and the real threat against American democracy and the rest of the world. That is what Trump is posting out today. So if you had any hope to regurgitate the black pill and see people be held to account and finally see arrests en masse of the Democrats who have been doing all this crazy stuff and trying to arrest Donald Trump and weaponize the justice system and destroy, bankrupt and May, their political rivals, well, we're as close to getting that as we ever have been. So how did we get here, Massacre mates? Well, before I answer that question, please consider, of course, liking and subscribing and donating, like the benevolent characters in the chat, such as Mira D80s, Brad W, and Betty Boot. Thank you so much for your donations today. You can donate on streamlabs.com/Johnny Massacre, patreon.com/Johnny Massacre, or paypal.me/give me a hell yeah. You can donate via the links to the right of my head or via the currency symbol in the chat box right now on YouTube. So how did we get here, Massacre mates? Well, do you remember COVID-19 happened? That was a pretext to roll out mail-in ballots as standard, more than any point ever in American history. There was early voting, more than at any point in electoral history. Mail-in ballots were counted after election day because there were so many of them for days and days and days. They stopped the vote counts in all of the swing states that Trump was winning in. And then Biden suddenly won. When Republicans tried to audit this, Democrats claimed they had already done audits and counts. And Dems claim that now they've all been done, which is absolutely fake news. Here is a video showing mystery votes being found for Biden in Georgia with no explanation, partly showing you how we got here. Georgia was ground zero for all of the theories about election fraud in 2020.
So there's no concrete, just to get it on the record, there's no concrete explanation as to how those 2,700 votes were not counted by the machine in the first place?
We don't know. I mean, we can't, they're not in there anywhere. So we don't know why they didn't get scanned in there.
So have the Dominion tech guys that have been troubleshooting here all day been able to figure out why they weren't in there?
Them, but I don't know if I can speak for them. They're not allowed to comment.
They're not allowed to comment.
And you're not allowed to
Sorry.
So any attempts to find out how all these votes flipped and how all these votes suddenly appeared were basically stymied and swept under the rug. And do you remember how Twitter back then, when it wasn't owned by Elon Musk, would censor you for questioning this or posting these videos around? So that's how we got here. The Dems then sued Republicans and tried to stop every single attempt to recount the vote. So it was therefore not the most litigated election in history. That's absolutely false. In 2020, more than 6 election fraud lawsuits were filed, and not a single court allowed the evidence to be heard. They were all dismissed on standing before evidence could be made public. The only high-profile lawsuits that went anywhere in Fulton in 2021 were by Voter GA, which was a conservative watchdog group, where Democrats and county officials called it a waste of time and defamatory. They argued prior audits, 3 recounts and signature audits. Yeah, the people who were alleged of committing the fraud did their own audits, and they said, trust me, bro, no fraud here. They confirmed the results, or at least claimed to, and the Democrats fought the subpoenas and access every single step of the way. Voter GA claimed duplicates, missing images, and unverifiable ballots. For example, 70 counties destroyed 1.7 million ballot images prematurely. They argued this showed massive fraud, but admitted much couldn't be verified. So auditors could only examine high-resolution digital copies, not originals, to preserve the chain of custody. There was no door-to-door verification allowed due to privacy laws, so you couldn't actually go door-to-door and ask people if they had voted. So even the few attempts that got through to audit and investigate were stymied and thrown out, and that was aided and abetted by the mainstream media, especially Elon Musk Twitter, which censored anyone questioning this kind of stuff. There was another audit in Maricopa County, and similar results were found. And really, in order to kind of jog your memory about how we've gotten here, you should look at the vote counts right before they stopped counting at 3 a.m. in all of the swing states. Now, check out this information just to remind you of how we got here to Donald Trump raiding Fulton County election office, getting the ballots to examine them. Right before 3 a.m., at the critical stage of election night, Donald Trump was up in Pennsylvania by 20% nearly. He was up in Georgia. That's the location of today's video. He was up by a lot. He was up by 300,000 votes. Unbelievable. He was up in Michigan. He was up in North Carolina. He was up in Wisconsin. Joe Biden was trailing in every single swing state. Donald Trump was crushing it. They stopped the vote counts. And then when they started again, suddenly Joe Biden was ahead in every single one of those swing states. Insane. Let's look at the stats from the 2020 election where Biden won. So previously, Obama won with 69 million votes. Joe Biden got 81 million votes, making him the most popular president in the history of the United States of America. Obama won 873 counties. Donald Trump won 2,497 counties when he had won. That was back in 2016. Biden won with the lowest amount of counties by orders of magnitude in electoral history, only 477 counties. If fraud had been committed, you would do it in a few select counties and funnel all of the fraudulent votes through there. Don't shoot the messenger, cuzzy. When people win these elections, they tend to disproportionately win a lot of the bellwethers. Bellwethers are locations where if you win, statistically and historically, you are guaranteed to win the election. Obama, because he won the bellwethers 18 out of 19. Trump won 18 out of 19. Biden won only one bellwether, and he still was the most popular president in the history of the United States of America. When you win the election, you always win 3 states, Florida, Ohio, and Iowa. So the only president in American history to win the election and not win those 3 states, and I believe he still won 2 out of 3, was Nixon. Decades and decades ago, lifetimes ago. Of course, Obama and Trump, when they won their respective elections, they won Florida, Ohio, and Iowa. Biden lost all 3. So this is why there's a controversy surrounding the election, and this is why Trump and Trump's FBI and Tulsi Gabbard are raiding the Georgia Fulton County election office to analyze those ballots to find out how these numbers occurred. Don't forget, Biden, most popular president in the history of America. If really he got 81 million votes, how the hell would Kamala Harris get significantly less? What happened to all these tens of millions of voters the next time around? So that's how we got here. So much sketchy stuff surrounding the 2020 election. And there was also lots of duplicate ballots. Here's a video from 2020 during the Georgia election audit video showing duplicate ballots. Let's have a look at this. to show you how we've gotten here, where Trump and the FBI is raiding an election office to get the ballots to see what happened in 2020. Cuzzy wuzzy wuzzy. Here's some duplicate ballots on video from the 2020 audit in Georgia.
And if you think that maybe that's, if you think that maybe that's just a mistake or just a coincidence, here's the next one that shows. You can see Republican is written there, Republicans written there. This is ballot 61. This is ballot number 2, and then each one of them even has this little dot in the Fannie Willis.
Okay, and do you have more of those?
We have.
So these votes, the black ink used to vote, they look the same across like hundreds, if not thousands of votes.
The entire batch. There's 62 images.
So look at these 2 votes on separate ballots. If I can just get the text out of the way. You can see in the top right, going to remove this as well. You can see there that these, the ink used to do the votes is exactly the same, even though the votes are supposed to be separate.
Is in here total, and I didn't even get a chance to go through all of them, but these are the most obvious ones where it's clear that it's the same. This one's got the little tail on the side.
And so what happened? So do you know the numbers of these total batches?
So you can.
I don't remember what the totals were when the batches.
You can see there. These are some of the reasons Trump is currently raiding Fulton County, and I never thought I would live to see the day. There's also endless affidavits from witnesses who questioned the election. For example, Susan Voiles, 20-year-old election official, pristine ballots, had a difference in texture of the paper with a different feel and no markings, and approximately 98% for Joe Biden. Another Georgia Democrat observer, quote, hundreds of ballots with no folds or creases, perfect black bubbles, all for Biden. Another Georgia Democrat, quote, all had perfect black bubbles and were all Biden. I heard Biden over 500 times in a row. The dude responsible for the election in Fulton County was Richard Barron. Now, I remember this guy because my channel blew up covering this and got shadow banned for even mentioning this. That guy, Richard Barron, he oversaw the late night counting delay at State Farm Arena in Fulton County on election night 2020, which became this focal point for Trump's fraud allegations that has resulted in Trump's raid today. So, this guy, Barron, he oversaw the operations during the incident, which involved a brief pause due to a water main break, later clarified as a leaky urinal, after which counting resumed, and this guy disappeared. He stepped down as elections director in Fulton County one day after the elections and disappeared from the public eye. He should be a hero. No, we haven't seen him since. So this is the dude who oversaw the massive vote spikes in Fulton County and his state. And this is him explaining why some of the ballots needed to be rescanned. Does this seem legit to you? Just asking a question, bro. Here he is.
So when I looked at the numbers on the results report I guess it was about 4 in the morning, the numbers looked low, so I told staff to come over here and check the ICC files on the scanners, and we came here today. I called the state election board monitor, both political parties, so I could get observers here. And we came in and ended up scanning 342 ballots today so that we balanced out. This is something we normally do every election. Between election day and certification, we try to make sure that all of our numbers balance. So I felt it was important.
So that is the guy in question. Can he explain why at 10:50 p.m. at night, when everyone left the building, a small handful of about 6 or 7 people resumed and started pulling boxes of ballots and scanning them for 3 or more hours alone in the middle of the night, and why some of the workers were scanning the same stack of ballots through their tabulators multiple times? Allow me to quote Joseph Stalin, quote, "Those who vote decide nothing. Those who count the vote decide everything." So this has been a long time coming, Cuzzy.
Welcome back. New tonight, one day after the elections, the Fulton County Elections Director resigns.
This is the guy we're talking about. He resigned a day after the election count.
Local leaders blame politics.
To be under that kind of pressure, that kind of scrutiny for that long will wear on anybody. And you have the former President of the United States and his minions, Secretary of State and his minions, daily blasting you. It takes a toll on you after a while.
Today, the county chairman announced that Richard Barron would be leaving his position on a high note, but after death threats and scrutiny ever since the 2020 presidential election. Officials claim the county has a target on its back, and Barron felt as long as he was the director, he would be a distraction. The county says yesterday's elections were successful, although there were internal and technical glitches at some polling precincts, but at no fault of the elections director. Barron's resignation is effective December 31st. The county will hold a nationwide search for his replacement.
Okay, so this discount James Earl Jones looking mother Uckafe is Rob Pitts. That's the dude who you just saw there. And he espoused the Dem narrative surrounding this today, which is investigating the fraud is fraud. He came out today. He's still there. This is what he said about everything today.
Now they have been removed from this facility. Out of our control. We don't know where they're being taken. We don't know what's going to happen to them. So we can no longer, and I can no longer, as chair of this board, satisfy not only the citizens of Atlanta, but the citizens of the world.
So now he's basically claiming that because they don't have custody of the votes, that Trump and his team are going to tamper with them. Yes, there is nothing abnormal at all about lying about a water main break in Fulton County and then telling everyone that they're done counting for the night, followed by sending home all of the poll watchers and then bringing out large cases of ballots from under the tables. Guess what? Since YouTube banned my channel years ago for covering this, I kept all these fucking videos. So here is a video of all the poll watchers being sent home and then a select group continuing to count, putting Biden into the lead, bringing out massive suitcases full of ballots, because I fucking keep receipts and I fucking remember.
In the morning, we're going to roll this back and show it to you. There you go. So now they're going to start pulling these ballots out from under this table. This table, the black one, was placed there by the lady with the blonde braids at about 8:22 a.m. in the morning. So she put that table there. So the same person who's staying behind now, the same person who cleared the place out under the pretense that we're going to stop counting, is the person who put the table there at 8:20.
Okay, yeah. So also, there's nothing abnormal. There's nothing abnormal about the declared winner of the presidential election later honoring these aforementioned election workers with congressional medals and then calling them heroes after they pulled out these ballots in suitcases in the dead of night that happened to go overwhelmingly in favor of the candidate that was about to lose. There's nothing abnormal about this at all. Do you remember this? I never forget, bruv. This is the White House saying, to mark 2 years since the insurrection on the Capitol, Biden awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal today to 14 heroes. Those are the people who pulled out the suitcases, including Lady Ruby Freeman. There you go, at Fulton County. These are all very normal things, people, that happen in every election, and there was nothing nefarious at play, and certainly no voter fraud in 2020. None at all. And graphs like this are totally normal. If you saw an anomaly in your business or company or in your accounts that looked like that on a graph, you would never even bat an eyelid. You just say, meh, that shit happens all the time. When they stopped counting votes in Georgia on election night 2020, Trump was up 8% with 83% of the vote in. The odds of Trump winning with those numbers are basically around 99%. So, yeah, nothing wrong at all. But really, you can perhaps see why now that Donald Trump has raided the election center in Fulton County, Georgia, to analyze all of those votes. And Democrats can screech all they want, but Trump has now set up a whole new government division to carry this out. Is Maricopa County going to be next? Check this out. Donald Trump on Truth Social just said, I'm pleased to nominate Colin McDonald to serve as the first ever Assistant Attorney General for National Fraud Enforcement, a new division at the Department of Justice, which I created to catch and stop fraudsters that have been stealing from the American people. So he set up a whole division, and perhaps Fulton County is the first of many that will be investigated. Now, Massacre mates, Democrats are freaking out. They are freaking out, and I'm going to show you how they're reacting. So the Big Blue Wave on X said, what is happening in Fulton County, Georgia should chill everyone to the bones. The FBI seized all of the 2020 election voter rolls and ballots, not copies, the originals. And they have left no trace of anything other than a photo of Tulsi effing Gabbard lurking in a corner. I love it, man. You could smell the fear. The US Director of National Intelligence witnessing a state FBI raid. So now Trump's regime can craft a story that the election was rigged and there'll be no evidence to the contrary because they took it. This is all happening under camera in the election center in Fulton County. And this is going to be documented the whole way. So we're actually going to see what really happened. But that's the kind of thing that Democrats are talking about. Now, Georgia election officials are reacting and they are panicking. So here is Fulton County, Georgia Commissioner Dana Barrett, and she's frantic after Donald Trump raided the election center.
What you're doing is extremely dangerous.
Why is it dangerous?
Because you're spreading conspiracy theories.
It's not a conspiracy theory. Do you have $45? I'm not undermining. I'm not saying people are voting there. Ma'am, I'm not saying that people are voting.
So they're trying to run, they're trying to scurry away. We've also got the Fulton County, Georgia Commissioner, Mo Ivory, and here she is
listen,
panicking.
I know you're watching the news, you're seeing a lot of stuff about this FBI raid at the Fulton County elections and registrations. I'm on the inside right now. So I just want you to be like real discerning about all that you're hearing from people who are on the outside of what's going on. I'm going to give you the truth.
She doesn't look shady at all
about what's happening. So they served a warrant, the FBI.
She doesn't look like a communist DEI hire at all.
Trump serving a warrant to go pick up the 2020 ballots.
So they're absolutely freaking out. We've got Dave Bratt. He's the district attorney. Oh, no, he's not the district attorney. I don't know who this guy is, but he's panicking, and they're all panicking. And the district attorney for Georgia is Fannie Willis. Now, that's the woman who tried to arrest Donald Trump. So you could argue that this whole thing trying to arrest Trump is a smokescreen and trying to divert attention away from the crimes that were actually committed over there. And lest I remind you what Fulton County did to anyone questioning their elections, especially in light of Democrats now and election officials at Fulton County saying that it's persecution. They tried to arrest everyone who questioned them. So there's a lot of smoke in Fulton County, and it looks like Trump, the FBI, and Tulsi Gabbard are about to get to the bottom of it. Now, of course, the Democrats are freaking out over this. Adam Schiff, of course, is freaking out over it. Here's what he said.
So a quick take on something that just happened today that I think you should know about. So in Georgia, in Fulton County, the FBI executed a search warrant at an election center to get election records from 2020. So you remember that this county was the center of some of the election denial efforts in 2020 when Trump begged, pleaded, tried to coerce Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State in Georgia, to find 11,780 votes that did not exist.
I just want to find
So, yeah, you can see Democrats are freaking out about this. Schiff freaking out about it. Reverend Raphael Warnock, Senator, he's freaking out about it. Warnock said Trump is going to try to interfere with midterm elections. We see it. We won't be intimidated, and it won't work. He also went on to say on X something very similar. He said Trump's support is collapsing rapidly. He's panicking. So he's doing what he always does, attacking our elections. Be vigilant. We had Ossoff, a Democrat senator from Georgia. He said Trump lost Georgia in 2020, but today he continued his sore losers crusade with an FBI raid. We're watching the president unravel, weaponizing federal law enforcement for personal power and revenge. We must stop him. So this looks like projection to me because the Democrats, in my opinion, certainly weaponized federal law enforcement. They tried to arrest Donald Trump. Actually, the place that's being investigated, that's the place where Democrats attempted to arrest Donald Trump. and so on and so on and so on. We also had Miles Taylor from the Department of Homeland Security, Chief of Staff. He used to be. He said Trump's spy chief is personally attending raids of election offices. This is very bad. So Democrats are freaking out. Now, I predicted this Democrat reaction 6 years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago in 2020, when Trump tried to do a recount then, but he was cancelled by social media and they stymied and stopped him. I predicted this exact reaction 5 to 6 years ago. So here is me predicting this. Also, the media has said Donald way back when. Trump is Hitler, Donald Trump is totalitarian, Donald Trump is destroying democracy. They've all teed it up nicely. So if he overturns the vote because it was fraudulent, they're just going to say all of those things. Donald Trump is a dictator. We told you he's a threat to democracy. This is it in the flesh. And they're just going to allow and excuse the rioting still further. So, I mean, this could be a fucking civil war. But Donald Trump will not go quietly into the night. We already know his character. The fact that he is... I guess I was right there. President means he's not going to be going anywhere soon. So this could get really fucking interesting. So yeah, then now they're doing all those things. They're calling him authoritarian. They're calling him fascist. They're calling him Hitler, like election denier. He's a threat to the republic because he's questioning this election. That's what I said they would say 5 years ago, and they're still saying it now. And it's an amazing video because 5 years ago, it's taken 5 fucking years to get all the way back to this point after they took the election, just to try to now get to the bottom of where we were back then. It's taken 5 years of absolute hell. And now we're back to this point. That's how far Democrats set us back. And that's just amazing to see that video trip back through time. So why are Democrats screeching about this so much? Because they could lose power very soon. In 2030, they are going to redistrict. Every 10 years, congressional maps are redistricted and redrawn based on the new census data of the population. And under the current forecast, Trump would have won the 2024 election 322 to 2016 if the forthcoming projection for redistricting for 2030 comes true. Even if Kamala Harris had won Philadelphia, Wisconsin, and Michigan, Trump would still have won the 2024 election 208 to 258. And that's the reason why Democrats are freaking out so much in general. They're about to lose power and they need to do everything they can to stop it. So there you go, my friends. Donald Trump and the FBI have raided Fulton County election office in Georgia, and they have taken custody of every single type of ballot, physical and digital, because a judge signed off to do that with a criminal warrant. That's where we are. So Trump is going to try to prove that the election was stolen in 2020. And if he does do that, arrests may be forthcoming. What do you think is going to happen? For this to go this far, you'd have to say that that is a possibility, even though myself personally, I'm pretty black-pilled and I'm waiting for some arrests and nothing has come to fruition. I don't think you go this far, what with it guaranteed to explode in the media like it is, unless you was attempting to do something and unless you had some pretty fucking strong evidence. So I cannot wait to see where this goes. And really, this is a watershed moment, because if the election was fraudulent, if Democrats succeed in framing their fraudulent election as framing the investigation into their fraudulent election as fraudulent in and of itself, that means that, and the people actually side with that narrative and vote for Democrats in the midterms and God forbid in 2028, that means that not only will they never be held to account, that means if elections are fraudulent, you're never going to find out, and people will vote to keep fraudulent elections and America will never recover. I keep talking about stuff like this, but doing the damage to America is so much easier than doing something good in America. And by that I mean, to do something good, have a good economy and things like that, it takes decades and lifetimes to build up and become strong. But to destroy it just takes a couple of years. So Democrats consistently voting as one block, regardless of the issue, regardless of ethics and morals, whether it's right or wrong, for everything in the House. Whereas Republicans, some of them break with the ranks and side with the Democrats. if you keep conceding to Democrats who, in my opinion, all they do is destroy, there's no way you're going to be able to stave off that destruction and that kind of exponential, I don't know, logarithmic decline, because they're always going to be advancing little by little by little, and your long-term plans of productivity will not be able to offset that. So I'm pretty fucking black-pilled, and I just fucking hope people are held to account. That's all. If something was fraudulent in 2020, and I believe it was. So I hope you enjoyed this today, everybody. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, all that BS, and drop a comment, because I do read them, and this is like a resource for people who are just seeking truth. We can all kind of come together and look at it. It's amazing. This video that I made back in the day, if you search for this on YouTube, it won't even come up. And my channel was basically banned for covering this kind of stuff. Had 235,000 views. That's where most of the kind of like long-term subscribers came from 5 years ago. And it, look, 2,700 comments. They were so like, this was when the YouTube algorithm was fair, and if it was democratic, it would recommend my content to kind of like-minded people and good people. And it cut us off from all of these people. Look at these comments, like, they're just all really well-meaning, and it's just all kind of like-minded people. And, you know, Johnny Massacre, how did YouTube bring me here? Glad I came. Good show, mate. Things like that. Oh, man, how amazing YouTube would be if it fairly shared videos. But now it's memory hold. You can't find it. Maybe I should re-upload it. I don't know. But here we are 5 years later, still fighting the good fight. So thank you very much, everyone. And I would like to hear your comments.
Chris the Campbell says, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Mirror D80 says hello, all best wishes. 41 Celsius here in South Australia, which is 105.8 Fahrenheit about. Mirror D80 says got a PS4 Pro for the down low, 199 to give to a mate so he can play in the same ecosystem as me. Nansim Chain 3501 says, late joining. I watched them count the ballots over and over, and pull boxes from under the tables. They were too stupid to know it was being live streamed.
She was there.
Time. Night all will watch tomorrow. Mirror D80s has donated $5 Australian and says Johnny play Persona 4 or Resi soon please. Great work by the way. Mirror D80 says I pre-ordered my PZ Requiem, still have to refinish Resi 4, 5,
Me too.
6, 7.
We do it
8.
Together.
Mirror D80 says Resi not PZ. Mirror D80 says play in Persona 3, the answer in the background. Mirror D80 says, bruh bro, no comment, donation great. I couldn't, I always wanna say something. Mirror D80 says 2000 mules touches on the fake ballots, interesting doco. Gerivon Mabach 8651 says hey Johnny, hell yeah, lot of mercy.
Lot of mercy.
8651 says hey Massacre mate.
Hello Massacre mate.
D80 says hope everyone's having a great day.
Likewise.
D80 says I would go to the gym if it weren't at 41 Celsius / 105 Fahrenheit. Mirror D80 says yup, I never gonna forget, unlike the media which tends to memory hole events like 2020. Bruh says, like, subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Wow.
8651 says, Bruh says, when he was a wee little Shadow Realm youngling. Bruh says, hey Gary, hope all is well with you. Gerivon Mabach 8651 says just been busy with work, Brad, hope and pray you are doing well. Chris the Campbell says what the fuck is that jacket? Captain Haddock. Mirror D80 says what the anime Captain Harlock. Bruh says, I lost so much cause of that SHT.
Thank you so much. Betty Boot says she wants accountability. I'm just going to add Betty to text to speech so she can have a voice in the conversation that's slightly more audible than it is now, which is completely inaudible and silent. Whole lot of mercy. So yeah, I mean, the other videos we did recently, they got thousands of views like really quickly, but this one is not getting as many. But let's see if you share it around, who knows where it's going to go. Thank you so much, everyone. Much love, take care, and I'll be seeing you very soon. Cheers.